Hello and welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name is Laszlo Merza, and in my videos I deal with home automation, home networking, DIY electronics and related stuff. In today's video I will show you a neat little trick that I use to add Amazon Alexa voice notifications to my projects, be it an Arduino one or something related to my 3D printer or a backend service I'm working on, stuff like that. So if you're interested, keep watching. First of all, let me start with a little demonstration. So for example, this plays when my 3D printer is finished with the job.
3D print finished.
And then this one plays when the 3D printer gets online.
3D printer operational.
And finally, this is triggered by a PIR sensor when you enter my man cave.
Hello, and again, welcome to the Aperture Science Computer-Aided Enrichment Center. We hope your brief detention in the relaxation vault has been a pleasant one. Your specimen has been processed and we are now ready to begin the test proper.
Now the obvious question is, how did I do that? Well, as you will see, we will use a set of free software available. And no, we won't be using any Alexa skills. If you're an Amazon Echo user, then you have probably heard about them. It's not like I don't like them, they are useful, but sometimes can be a bit way too complicated. So for this purpose, we won't be using skills. What will we use then? So this is our evil plan. If you're running home automation with Home Assistant already, and you probably have an Amazon Echo or two, then you have pretty much everything at hand already, so it will be super easy for you. On the other hand, if you're new to this stuff and you don't know what a message broker or Home Assistant is, I have bad news for you. I won't be covering those in this video because it would take too long. But the good news is there are some excellent tutorials out there. So you will pretty much find any information you need to have a message broker and Home Assistant installed. And now we will straight jump to this custom component called Alexa Media. So what is this Alexa Media component exactly? Well, this is a custom component for Home Assistant, and as such it is open source, so it can be found on GitHub. The whole purpose of this thing is to use Amazon's own Alexa API to connect to your Amazon Echoes via Amazon's cloud service. Now, according to my best understanding, this is pretty much the same API, for example, Amazon's phone application is using, but don't take this as granted. I mean, I never looked really into the source code of this custom component. Anyways, point is, you can do it if you are interested. For me, it was enough to see it working. One thing to mention here is that actually this is an unofficial API, so it means that Amazon might get rid of it in the future, making the whole component unusable, but I don't think a particular reason for them to do that, but who knows. We will see. Right now the component is working, and as you can see, it's getting updated fairly regularly. Last update at the point of creating this video was 2 months ago. So we can say it's under active development. The main purpose of this component is to provide control over the media playing function of your Amazon Echoes. So if you have, for example, multiple Echoes in your home and you are using multi-room audio and stuff like that, you can control it via Home Assistant. But also, besides playing music, it provides a notification service. This is pretty much TTS solution for announcement, and technically it provides mobile push notifications. I've never tried these, but I assume these work with the Alexa phone application. Maybe I will try it in the future. Now, From my point of view, I'm not particularly interested in controlling media playing from my Home Assistant installation, because I really enjoy voice control over audio play, like playing music, stuff like that. But yeah, the notification service is what I really wanted for a long time, and this component provides it. Now, this is not really a new component. As you have seen, it was updated and it was created, I think, more than a year ago, and it got pretty large overhauls. So, for example, my old installation I had in the past got broke, and I had to reinstall the whole thing. And back at the time, it was a bit complicated to install. But now we can install this component via something called Home Assistant Community Store. So we will do that installation to a clean Home Assistant instance, and I will show you the configuration so we can start creating our own notifications. So this funny website is the home site of the Home Assistant Community Store. We have the installation documentation here, and we'll go through these steps, because honestly, installing Home Assistant Community Store is like the most complicated part of this video tutorial. So let's get through it fast. Okay, prerequisites. You will need a GitHub account. You will need a fairly new Home Assistant version. And yeah, access to the file system where Home Assistant is located. This means that you have to access the server, be it a Raspberry Pi or Docker host or something like that. The rest, okay, well, next one. We will need to download and release as a zip from here. So let's open this page, and we can see a zip file. Now this is platform independent, so there's a single zip file. Okay, copy link location or whatever browser you are using, and then within the Home Assistant installation you can just download it and extract it. Since my Home Assistant is running within a Docker host on Linux, I will just use Linux tools to do this download, but you can download it on Windows and then extract it and upload it to your server, so it is up to you. Okay, so this is a clean installation on a VM. So let's just do a download. There we go. As soon as our download is done, I can get back to the tutorial, and it will just tell you to move this whole extracted stuff into Home Assistant's custom component directory. Again, it's up to you how you are using Home Assistant. Anyway, the point is to have the custom components directory, and under that a directory called HACS. As you can see, there's nothing much left. So let's do this. So as you can see, this is my Home Assistant installation directory within the Docker container. Now I just need to create custom components here. Oops, I need something to unzip this. There we go. So let's try again. Okay, there we go. Now we have these two. So let's restart Home Assistant, which in our case means restarting the Docker container. Okay, let's see Home Assistant. We still don't see the community store, so let's go on with the documentation. Next part, configuration. Okay, this is the GitHub part. So you will need to have a GitHub account. This is because Home Assistant Community Store downloads a lot of stuff from GitHub. Basically, with this token thing, you are authorizing GitHub to let your Home Assistant Community Store installation download stuff using their API. So what we will need is a GitHub account in the first place, and assuming you have that, you have to follow this part to have a token, which is under your settings. So you go to this page, then generate a new token, you will have a confirmation, then you can give a name to that token. The point is that with this token, Home Assistant Community Store cannot do anything harmful to your GitHub account, so don't worry. You don't have to check any of these extra permissions, which pretty much gives Home Assistant Community Store a read-only mode using your GitHub token. So after that, you will have a token which is a number like this, or number more like a string, sorry, and then you will have to add that to Home Assistant Community Store. So Home Assistant UI configuration, and then click integration. So let's do this. Configuration, integrations, and we will have to go here and then look for Home Assistant Community Store. So you will need to insert your token here, and then these are optional. I have them left unchecked, especially because this themes discovery and stuff like that is something mentioned like a deprecated function, and we won't use it anyway. Okay, let's do this quickly. Enter your token here, then click submit. I will do the same. After setting up Home Assistant Community Store, during the first use, you will be greeted with a kind of a wizard. So you can just click through it, but I suggest you to read the documentation there, especially if it is the first time you are using this stuff. After it is all complete, it will spend some time installing stuff in the background. And it will take a few minutes. If you have a tool like Portainer or something like that, you can check its progress. When it's all done, we will be ready to install Alexa Media. The installation itself is pretty much a one-click operation, or actually two, within Home Assistant Community Store, and it won't take more than a few seconds. Then no restart is needed, you can start it using right away. For that, you will have to add it as an integration, like we did with Home Assistant Community Store itself. When adding it as an integration, here comes the sketchiest part of this whole thing. You have to enter your actual Amazon username and password here. Yeah, well, funky. If this stuff weren't open source, I would say, I'm not doing that. But if you want to go for sure, you can try something like two-factor authentication. After successfully authenticating with Amazon, which might involve some CAPTCHA by the way, you will notice that your overview screen, unless of course you have already customized it, will look like something like this. Point is, cards will be added for controlling media on your echoes and on your multi-room groups. So for example, in my case, Lounge is a multi-room group. Also, if you have Portainer set up or any other way to watch the logs of Home Assistant, you will see that it will add a bunch of entities and whatnot. So at this point, we are ready to use Alexa notifications on our devices. From this point, our job is really simple. We all need to do is set up automations which are triggered by MQTT messages, and then they will just call services of this newly installed custom component. So to do that, you need to go to configuration, then automations, and as you can see, I already have some set up here. Actually, these are from my own real Home Assistant installation, not from the VM I've been showcasing so far. So let's check those out. So these first three are pretty simple. They will just accept an MQTT message and will call the service with the static text. So we can see how this looks like. You have to have a name, then a trigger. This all assumes that you have MQTT server set up for your Home Assistant. And these events are emitted by Octoprint. Octoprint has a plugin for MQTT and can emit various events based on what the printer is doing at the moment. So this printer, this topic is sent with some kind of payload. Payload doesn't even matter here. So this topic is for finishing the 3D print. And here we just we don't need a condition, but we can set up a condition here like let's say only send this during daylight or stuff like that. But it's a really simple example. So you can see as an action we are calling a service. Service is notify Alexa Media. Now you can select various services here. You can actually specify rooms, multi-room groups and echoes specifically, but I don't prefer this way. I just use the generic service name and then I specify the given echo here. So this will be targeted to a single echo and the message will be this, and you have TTS, which means text to speech. And that's it for this type of notification. Now a bit more complicated is this one. This is not related to my 3D printer, and you can see we have a long message here, and then we have a delay, and then we have another message. So this is just some fun stuff I made. And actually this topic is populated with messages by NodeMCU and PIR sensor. So whoever enters the room will hear these two messages. Actually the trick here is that this whole thing happens asynchronously, so if I don't include this delay here, then the second text will start playing while the first one is still in progress, which means that somewhere here the echo will just cut the remainder of the text and start the next one, which is weird. Not sure why it is happening this way. Probably it's because I'm doing something in a wrong way with Home Assistant, and some Home Assistant expert probably can correct me here to have these actions in sequence and not parallel. But right now this is working. And finally, here's the most complicated one. Actually, I won't be able to show it by default in this GUI. So again, MQTT, we have a specific topic, but this time we are expecting some text in the topic, in the payload of the MQTT message. And here you can see that this is way too simple. I mean, no message. Yeah, this is like a missing feature in Home Assistant, this version of Home Assistant. So you have to go to edit HTML, and ta-da, you will see that we have this data template. With this, you can say that the message will come straight from the payload of the trigger. So whatever message I'm sending, let's say from the MQTT client to my smartphone or stuff like that, then it will be read out loud by Alexa. As a closing word, I would like to state that within this video we have been only scratching the surface. So if you're familiar with Home Assistant, you know that you can already do a lot of powerful things with it. And now, with the templating and with these voice notifications, you can do actually pretty awesome stuff. So feel free to play around with conditions and various templates, and if you have tried it, feel free to share in the comments what you have made up with this. I'm really curious because I've just started working with this, and I think it's awesome. And in the future I will probably add more and more real notifications and voice type of interactions. Sadly, the whole thing is like one way, but at least I can, for example, start services, start background jobs on my server, and then have a voice notification when it's completed, all without touching a keyboard, all with Home Assistant and the Amazon Echoes. So fun stuff. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, feel free to give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more. And of course, hope to see you next time. Bye! Hey, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, hit like. If you want to help my channel and see more of my content, hit subscribe. If you want to check out behind the scenes and want to know more about me, then follow me on social media. You can find the links here. Thank you again, and see you next time.